Bills Mafia, welcome back. You know this team is chasing constant improvement every single week, every single practice. Sean McDermott and his staff are obsessed with finding ways to sharpen the edges, fix the mistakes, and put Buffalo in the best position possible to bring home a Super Bowl. And that's why we're here, breaking it all down with you. Before we dive in, make sure to smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any of our exclusive Bills coverage. Now, let's talk about the big story heading into Thursday night's divisional clash against the Miami Dolphins, another absence for Matt Milano. Bills fans, you already know what Milano means to this defense. He's the heartbeat, the guy who flies around making tackles, who sets the tone physically, who leads by example. But the reality is, injuries have haunted him. After missing most of 2023 and a chunk of 2024, Milano has now played in only 11 games over the last 2 seasons. And here we are again. Chest injury ruled out ahead of Thursday's primetime matchup. So what happens when one of your defensive captains can't go? Enter Dorian Williams, the insurance policy Buffalo hoped they wouldn't have to cash in on, but thankfully one that's been paying steady dividends. Williams, drafted in the 3rd round back in 2023, has been through this before. Remember last season when Milano tore his biceps? Williams stepped in and started 11 games, showing flashes of why the Bills believed in his speed and upside. And now he's back in the same role, stepping into the fire against Miami. Through 2 games this year, Williams has already played 47 snaps, picked up 6 tackles, and even generated a quarterback pressure. He said it himself this week. You have to prepare the same every week. That's the kind of mindset you need from a young guy thrust into a high-pressure role. Is he Milano? No. He doesn't have the same polished technique or veteran instincts, but what he does bring is athleticism, range, and energy, and in today's NFL, that counts for a lot. Here's the bottom line. For most teams, losing someone like Milano would be devastating. For the Bills, Williams gives them a measure of peace of mind. He's not just a stopgap. He's a player who can fly sideline to sideline, cover space, and make sure this defense doesn't completely lose its identity. But this game has another twist to it, Bills Mafia, and it's a familiar face. Former Buffalo cornerback Rasul Douglas, now suiting up for Miami, is set to line up against his old teammates, and he had some interesting things to say this week. Douglas spent a season and a half in Buffalo after being traded from Green Bay, and when asked what makes the Bills so consistently successful, his answer was simple. They got a good quarterback, and they do things the right way over there. They've got a system on how they run things, and everybody just follows it. That's respect. That's recognition, and it tells you everything about the culture Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane have built in Orchard Park. But the best part, when asked specifically about facing Josh Allen, he didn't hesitate. He's the MVP. That's what I remember. He's the best quarterback in the league. He's the MVP. He can do it all. Bills Mafia, how good does that sound? A former teammate, now lining up for a rival, admitting that Josh Allen is the most complete quarterback in football. Run, throw, extend plays, he's got it all. And that's why this matchup feels like another opportunity for Allen to put on a show. And speaking of opportunities, let's not ignore the history here. Miami hasn't won a game in Buffalo since 2016. Think about that. Almost a decade of frustration for the Dolphins every time they step into Orchard Park. Tua Tagovailoa, he's 1-8 against Buffalo in his career. 1 win, 8 losses. And he's walking into this game on the back of an 0-2 start while the Bills are rolling at 2-2. Vegas sees it too. The Bills opened as 11.5-point favorites, one of the largest spreads of Week 3. All signs point to Buffalo keeping their foot on the gas. Now let's break it down. Buffalo's offense has been unstoppable, averaging 450 yards per game and over 35 points. Josh Allen is dialed in, James Cook looks like a legitimate star, and the receivers are finding rhythm. Miami's defense, on the other hand, ranks near the bottom of the league, giving up 375 yards and 33 points a game. That's not the matchup you want to be limping into Orchard Park on a short week. Yes, the Dolphins have firepower. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle if he's healthy, and a creative scheme from Mike McDaniel. But let's be honest, if Rasul Douglas is already praising Buffalo's system and calling Allen the MVP, what kind of confidence does that really leave Miami with? The real chess match will be Buffalo's defense adjusting without Milano. Can Dorian Williams step up and contain the speed Miami throws at you? Can the defensive line, even if Ed Oliver isn't 100%, still collapse the pocket and make Tua uncomfortable? Those are the questions that will decide just how lopsided this game becomes. And here's the thing, even if Miami has a few moments, Buffalo has shown over and over that they finish stronger. They don't blink in these divisional games. And at home, under the lights, with Bills Mafia rocking the stadium, that's a nightmare scenario for the Dolphins. The Buffalo Bills are 2-0, and they've done it the hard way. Adversity has been part of the journey since last year, and once again this team is proving it can rise above. Now, we're staring at a Thursday night football matchup against a familiar rival, the Miami Dolphins. On paper, the Dolphins may look like one of the weakest teams in the NFL right now. Their roster's banged up, they've struggled on both sides of the ball, and history tells us Buffalo has owned Miami for years, especially at Highmark Stadium. But let's be real, Bills Mafia. A divisional game on a short week is never automatic. You've got to show up, stay sharp, and handle business. So, what are the keys to victory? Let's break it down. If there was ever a game for Allen and the offense to let it fly, it's this one. Miami's secondary is in shambles. Their top cornerback is Storm Duck. Yes, you heard that right. An undrafted free agent from just a year ago. And even he's dealing with an injury. If that doesn't tell you the state of their defensive backfield, nothing will. This is where the Bills need to strike early. Spread the field, push the tempo, and take advantage of those mismatches. Keon Coleman is the guy I've got my eyes on here. After putting up a monster 112-yard performance in Week 1, he cooled off last week with just 26 yards. But you know he's hungry to bounce back. With Stephon Diggs now in Houston, Coleman has been tasked with stepping into that work-in-one spotlight alongside Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, and Dalton Kincaid. This Dolphins defense is tailor-made for him to reintroduce himself in a big way. If Josh Allen can connect with him early and often, Miami's defense won't have any answers. And let's not forget Dalton Kincaid. The second-year tight end has already shown flashes of being an elite playmaker, and against a weak secondary, he could absolutely feast in the middle of the field. Expect him to be a huge part of the game plan. If there's one player Buffalo absolutely cannot afford to overlook, it's Dolphins running back Devon Achane. This guy has been their only consistent weapon through 2 games, leading the team with 11 receptions and serving as both a runner and receiver. Bills fans remember all too well what Achane did last year. He put up 286 total yards and 3 touchdowns against Buffalo. That's the kind of production that can swing a game, even when the rest of the roster is struggling. The problem? Matt Milano's status is uncertain after his latest injury setback. And when Milano isn't on the field, the Bills' defense loses more than just a playmaker. They lose a leader. That means the spotlight shifts directly to Dorian Williams, the young linebacker who filled in admirably last season. Williams has the speed to keep up with Achane in space, but discipline will be the key. The Dolphins love to scheme touches for their running back, especially as a checkdown option for Tua Tagovailoa. Buffalo's defensive line also has to do its part, staying in their gaps and not over-pursuing. If the Bills can limit Achane's explosive plays, Miami's offense doesn't have a lot of answers. This is where Buffalo's defense can completely take over the game. The Dolphins' offensive line is a mess. Through 2 weeks, they've given up 8 sacks. That's the 3rd most in the NFL. Their best lineman, guard James Daniels, is already on injured reserve. And let's be honest, Tua Tagovailoa has struggled against Buffalo his entire career. He's won 8 against the Bills in the regular season, and those losses haven't even been close. Tua is a quarterback who thrives when his first read is available. Take that away, and he gets uncomfortable fast. That's why Bobby Babich and this defense need to mix it up. Stunts, delayed blitzes, disguises, keep Tua guessing. And this is the perfect stage for Joey Bosa, who made his first big impact play as a Bill last week to build momentum. Gregory Rousseau and Ed Oliver are also primed to wreak havoc. If Buffalo can get consistent pressure and force Tua off his rhythm, Miami's offense will grind to a halt. And in Orchard Park, under the lights on Thursday night, that crowd noise is going to make life even harder for the Dolphins' offensive line. So, Bills fans, I want to hear from you. Do you trust Dorian Williams to step up and hold down the fort in Milano's absence? How do you feel about Rasul Douglas now lining up against us?
Will Allen make him eat his words, or will he actually have some insider advantage? And are you expecting another blowout, or do you think Miami can make this one competitive? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's fire up this discussion because Thursday night is shaping up to be another statement game. And before you go, don't forget, smash that like button if you bleed red and blue, subscribe to the channel for daily Bills coverage, and share this with another member of Bills Mafia so we can keep this community growing strong. Bills versus Dolphins, Orchard Park, prime time. Let's make it 7 straight against Miami. Go Bills!